we take the best practices from all the different swim associations that exist, anywhere from American Red Cross to U.S. Swim School Association to USA Swimming.
So there's probably a lot of like boots on the ground stuff you can do, as well as you guys already have a very robust marketing kind of an online presence.
What we do is we want to make sure you've got a healthy territory full of kids.
Welcome to the Own a Business Today podcast.
Welcome back to the show. Today we have an exciting concept to talk about. And what I really love about the concept is it's got a lot of footprint. So there's a lot of opportunity, very low startup cost, which is another great thing. And the way they arbitrage other people's pools is very interesting too, compared to a lot of the other franchises out there. So, initial franchise fees are relatively inexpensive. You can build a reoccurring revenue model with this business, and, you can get profitable within a few months, which is, what people are looking for. So today we're going to talk to the founder and CEO of Hudson Valley Swim, which originally started in 2003 and then started franchising about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to dive into the brand. We're going to learn about the business model. I'm going to ask questions so you, the listeners, can understand the opportunity that might be a right fit for you. And we're going to find out the ideal candidate who would make a good operator of this business model and the opportunities within the business model and how it runs. And I think by the end of this show, you'll get a good understanding. So please welcome Jeff to the show. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Bo.
All right. Well, let's dive in here. So you got into this business in 2003, and you've fine-tuned it. You've created a lot of different models within it, and you found out what works, what doesn't work. And then you decided, hey, we're now at a point where we can franchise this model and help other entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs get into business. And why don't you just give them the overview of how the business operates and the kind of fundamentals of it, and then we'll dive into some questions from there.
Yeah, so as you said, we started in 2003 as kind of based on our own need and realizing that other people had that same need. We were doing swim lessons in our backyard for our own kids and the neighbor kids. And we live in New York, and come the end of August, what do you do next? And so we really couldn't find a pool. We couldn't find swim lessons. And so the idea really came to fruition when we found a pool that we could rent out and hire our own instructors. And over the course of time, we developed that into a pretty structured program, and we scaled it. We added more and more locations, and what we realized was that we were pretty good at launching new locations, and we through streamlining a lot of the operation, we figured we could teach somebody else how to do that. And so basically the model that we use is a pool rental model. So most pools, whether it's a fitness facility or a school or a hotel, they're underutilized, and the facility owner is paying to heat it, they're putting chemicals in it, and it's underutilized. And so this becomes a win-win situation when we look at, let's say, a fitness facility where we say, hey, here's a revenue source for you. It also brings a lot of people through your door that could be potential fitness members if it's a fitness facility. Not quite as the same when you're going to a hotel where everybody there is transient, but at least you're offsetting their costs to heat the pool and put chemicals in the pool. And so there's it's different than a model that requires you to build out a pool. When you build out a pool, it's a large expense. Time to market is probably 2 or 3 years before the pool is built out. And using this model, it's kind of a good situation for everybody because it's a low upfront investment. You can get up and running in 2.5, 3 months. Your operational costs are low, and so it allows you to turn a profit fairly quickly. And in fact, all of our franchise owners and all of our corporate stores have been profitable within the first 2 months.
I like that. Okay, so let's just kind of walk people through. So somebody likes the business model. Obviously, you have a kind of a diligence process for them to go through. And let's say, walk us through the fact, like, let's just say I'm here in Las Vegas and I want to, buy into the franchise model. You award me the franchise. Before you award the franchise, obviously you're going to help with the finding the facility to rent. And so before I would sign, a franchise agreement, would we have a pool identified or pretty close to solidifying agreement?
Yeah, so that's another differentiator for us in that we won't really sign the franchise agreement until we've identified a suitable facility for you to operate at. A little bit different than some of the others where you pretty much sign it and they give you their word that they'll find you something that you can swim in, and that isn't necessarily conducive to a great program. And so we want to make sure our owners are very successful, and we really don't want to operate in bad faith and give you something, put you into business in something that you can't be successful in or can't even find a pool in. So the answer is yes. What we do is we have relationships with some of the national fitness brands. We also solicit some of the regional brands, and then there's obviously community centers and some of the larger hotels and so forth that do have pools. And what we're looking for is something that you can operate at 12 months out of the year. So we're not, if you're in an area where, it's warm 6 months out of the year and you can swim, that's not the best situation. I mean, that's okay for a secondary pool, but for your primary pool, you would want a 12-month operation, which for the most part means you're looking at an indoor facility. So we'll help you. Yeah, so we'll help you find that. We also do not expect you to know anything about aquatics. We're not looking for you to teach. And so the other unique aspect of our program is that we will help you identify swim instructors, and we're looking for some pretty seasoned ones. We're not really looking for somebody that's been doing it for a year or two right out of high school. We're looking for somebody that actually has been teaching for a while. It does consider themselves a teacher of swimming, and so we will help you identify them. We'll help you interview them, and then upon signing the contract, a lot of that happens after the contract signed. But before you open, you'll send them to us, and we'll train them on our program. So another thing about our program is it's not an off-the-shelf swim lesson program. It's something that we've developed over 20 years, and we take the best practices from all the different swim associations that exist, anywhere from American Red Cross to U.S. Swim School Association to USA Swimming. We combine that with our own expertise and our own techniques. We add a whole bunch of fun into the program so that kids are going to want to come back. And it's also a program for adults as well. It's not just for kids, but we're really looking for a well-rounded program that's both educational and fun.
And then what kind of times do you run these swim classes? Is it in the morning, evening, afternoon?
Well, that also depends on the season. So I would say in the summer is a little bit different than the rest of the year. So we do run morning programs the rest of the year, but that's pretty much targeting, moms of young ones, maybe some special needs and adults. That's not a high demand time during most of the year. Most of the time it's after school, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., sometimes a little later, weekends from 9 a.m., sometimes earlier than 9 to 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's most of the time. In the summer, it's different. You'll get a lot more daytime demand in the summer.
And what do we have to buy for, like, do we need equipment or anything? I mean, I would assume that you probably need like a general liability policy, insurance, and then how do you? Is it typically a revenue share with the pool, or is it just a straight like, hey, we're going to pay you, $1,500 a month or $5,000 a month?
Yeah, so those are three completely different questions. So the equipment that you need isn't that extensive. It's less than probably $3,000 worth of equipment. Less there's marketing materials you also need, which is also in that less than $3,000 range. Um, as far as one of the things that we've done, we consider our business a in the box type of an operation. So we've gone through and figured out, we've got the relationships with your payroll company, with the bookkeeping company, the registration system. It's all mapped out. Um, Additional and digital marketing. One of the things that we've also done is said, hey, if you really don't know much about insurance, especially not in the swim school industry, we do. Let's go pre-negotiate with a national company what the policies that you'll need in order to operate a swim school um, uh, uh, with all the coverage that you'll need. And that's a lot more than just general liability. So you'll need professional liability. You'll need sexual harassment, sexual molestation, that whole aspect of it. Anytime you're dealing with kids or actually anybody anymore, that part of it. So there's an umbrella policy that you'll need. So we've got that all mapped up out. Basically, we hook you up with our broker. He sends you an onboarding doc. You answer a few questions, and he gets you your policy. It used to take people 6, 7 months to get that all squared away. You have no history running a swim school. I do. So what they've done is they said, look, they figure I could teach you how to run a swim school. They're going to give you the rates that I get having that experience. So you're getting the benefit of my rates, by getting by having us negotiate that whole policy up front. So that's another good thing about what we're doing. So we've got a business in a box for everybody, inclusive of insurance.
So if I were to be the owner of the business, and I definitely am not a good swimmer, but you're going to help me hire the right people that are, career swim coaches. Do they actually fly out to your facility and you teach them as like a 3-day training, or is that done online?
Yeah. So what you'll do as an owner would be to identify your senior level person. All right. And we're going to help you identify them. We're going to help you interview them, help you select them. Um, a month ahead of time, at least a few weeks ahead of time, before you open, you'll fly them out to us, and they're going to work with our aquatics team to learn our program, learn our terminology. They already know how to teach. I mean, we've already figured that out. So now it's really just a matter of, here's how we do it. Here are our levels. Here are the skills that they need to learn in those levels. Here's how we teach those skills. And here's the terminology that we use while teaching that. It shouldn't take them more than 3 to 5 days max to really learn that. And then they'll go back. They'll be the primary instructor. You probably won't be running a 7-day program right out of the gate, but soon you'll start to build to that. But right out of the gate, they'll be your primary instructor. And then as you start increasing demand, especially on the high demand times, weekends, evenings, and so forth, you might start looking to bring on another instructor. They will be responsible for training that instructor. So you don't need to keep sending instructors back to us.
Got it. And they'll probably get paid a little bit more because they're the senior kind of teacher mentor. Do we typically, it may depend on state, would they be an employee or would they be an independent contractor in 1099?
They'll be an employee. They'll be two
Okay. So initial hires would just be one.
initially.
Is that one?
Yeah.
And then they're gonna, it's gonna take a few months to ramp up. They'll usually teach the beginning classes as you're ramping up to a certain level we're interviewing for a second coach, right? Is that kind of the progression?
Yes, and then you might, as you get busier, you might bring on maybe somebody to work part-time answering phones, but it's really a low number of employees. It's not
And it's
it
a
really
home-based
depends.
business, so we can run it from the house because
That
you
we
don't need a
still
brick
run
and
it from our
mortar.
house. Yep.
Yeah, no brick and mortar location. Yeah, I remember when we met at the Franchise Brokers conference this a few months back, and we really kind of dove into it because it's a fascinating business model, and I love it actually. It's like it's everything. Even if you're not even a swimmer, the business model itself, right? And everybody, and your big push too is swim lessons save lives. That's another huge. There's over 12,000 drownings a year in the U.S., I believe, or something like that. So you're teaching a component too, because all these people here in Las Vegas, they have pools. What happens if the child falls in and didn't have swim lessons? And right, like so, kind of
Yeah, I
talk
just
us
actually
to us about
learned,
that.
I just learned a statistic just recently that 25% of childhood drownings occur at a family gathering. Um, that is staggering. So, as far as the statistics go, there's 4,000 fatal drownings every year, another 8,000 near fatal, and near fatal could result in respiratory issues, brain damage, things like that as well. So it's not that they're out of the woods if they do survive. It's the leading cause of accidental death for children ages 4 and under. So those are some really, really staggering statistics, and that's really a mission that we've really been on for a number of years is to educate people and to do something to impact those numbers. And yeah, there's certain regions of the country where there's just a predominance of backyard pools. That's, I love that. However, you have to deal with that responsibly. The every state has their requirements for, closing doors and gates and things like that. But the fact of the matter is, you can't necessarily supervise children, especially all the time. There will be events happening in your neighborhood, and we just try to prevent that in advance by teaching kids how to survive and eventually swim.
How many students per class typically, and at one point do you need two coaches there, depending on the student level?
So another differentiator for us is that our class sizes are small. So we do group and private classes. So obviously privates are one student per teacher. Um, our group classes are 4 students per teacher. And so what we do is we'll conduct multiple classes at the same time. So we don't add a second instructor to that same class. We might have a different class altogether going at the same time. And you can have 2 or 3 classes going on as the demand warrants. It tends to be on weekends, and for starters, that's the highest demand time. But evenings after school is also pretty high demand.
Did you know that drowning is the leading cause of accidental death among children aged 4 and under? Learning to swim is an essential skill that both children and adults should possess. A Hudson Valley Swim franchise offers you flexibility, financial freedom, and the opportunity to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others. Learn more about this incredible business opportunity and set up a call with us at franchise.hvswim.com. Hudson Valley Swim. Let's save lives together.
So what does the owner actually need to be really, or what skills do they need to get good at or have to be a good operator of this business model? And could this business model be good for somebody like me who's got kind of a flexible schedule but still has a day job?
So this is a customer service oriented business. So we're looking for operators that believe in customer service. In fact, we're a premium level program. And so, along with the skills taught at the program itself, we also promote a high quality of customer service. And so that's responsiveness as well as the ability to be very, very flexible and, make things work for everybody. Our operators tend to have very high online ratings because of that. And so we kind of look for that. So it's somebody, um, what the operator is going to be doing is answering calls, answering emails, answering Facebook messages, et cetera, et cetera. Um, on one hand, and we'll teach you how to place a student. There's some basic questions to ask to figure out what class they are, starting with age, starting with basic things. Can they float on their back? And can they doggy paddle the length or width of a pool? Some basic questions. Anybody could learn that. We teach you how to do that. Um, the the more time you spend at the facility during lesson time, the more schmoozing that you can do with customers. So you're going to develop relationships with customers. You're going to talk to them a lot, and as a result of that, you're going to get recommendations, both online recommendations, but also you're going to get referrals. More important, so you mine your customer base. Your referrals can be, hey, bring a friend. Hey, we'll bring them in for a trial class. If they sign up, we'll give you a $20 discount on your next class. And so it's if you're not communicating with your customers, you're not doing yourself enough service because that's going to help you build your business. Um, so the answer is, yeah, you could absolutely work a day job. Um, that's how we started out. And as long as you have maybe some time during the day to answer calls, answer messages, having that flexibility during the day to do that is very helpful. You could also hire somebody to do some of that work for you, some of the on-site sort of a deck supervisor to help them, so that the days that you're not there, you can't possibly be there 7 days a week. Have them supervise, talk to customers. Are there challenges, or do they need a makeup class? Do they have a friend that talk to them about, building up, kind of building your base, getting referrals and things like that. So the more time that you really spend talking to your customers, the faster you'll build your business.
And I would imagine that, as an owner, if you were pretty creative and just went to like school districts during the summer and advertised to the parents and got the school districts involved because they have a couple hundred students and they want their kids to learn how to swim and things like that. So there's probably a lot of like boots on the ground stuff you can do, as well as you guys already have a very robust marketing kind of an online presence where we would set up a Facebook page. Talk to us about, you know, uh, the franchisee was awarded the franchise location. It's day one. We're still working on finding the right coach, and now we're rolling out the business. What are kind of the steps to get the marketing machine running, and how would that look?
So we have a 4 point marketing program that includes digital as one of the categories. There's on-site marketing. So especially if you're at a fitness facility, they have a lot of members. So why not leverage that? So you market to the membership. Another, I mentioned digital is one aspect, and I'll circle back to that. The third is sort of community level marketing, where you are going out to the preschools, you're going out to, if you doing vendor days, doing safety days, doing things of sponsoring t-ball teams where you can have your logo imprinted on a shirt. There's just various, typical marketing stuff, but it's more community oriented. And then the third aspect of it is really the referral side of it, which that sort of takes time to build, but you start doing that right away after you begin registration. So backing up to your question, how do you begin? Digital is a really the initial thing that we focus on. So we hook you up with our digital agency. We'll get you set up with your Facebook account, your Google account, your Instagram account. We'll get you into all the other things like Alignable and all the chamberofcommerce.com, basically all those kinds of things. We start working on your website. So we have a cookie cutter template, which we then customize for your location with all your own socials attached to that. And then, at least a month ahead of time, we start doing kind of the big launch campaign. So advertising, or at least posting, hey, we're now registering in the different Facebook groups, and then the moms groups. Those are really, really popular, some of the community oriented groups and so forth. So we do a lot. We have a whole marketing plan around how to kind of get that launch, that grand opening going. Um, and along with the on-site marketing aspect of that, usually gets you off the ground to a point where you have a sufficient number of students that will help you get to that near, if not more than a break-even point.
Yeah, and what on a high level, what are some of the reoccurring expenses? Is there there's obviously a marketing budget needed. There's royalties, which are going to be on the gross sales, I'm guessing. Can you what would a kind of a range of overhead look like? I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a lot, but just kind of giving people the idea what that would
So
be.
there's six, there's obviously little stuff here and there, but there's six kind of categories of overhead that they'll encounter. So there's rent, insurance, credit card fees, the payroll, royalty, and there's one I'm missing in there, and but it's in there, and marketing probably. And so those are your big expenses. That's what you're going to try to cover with your registration. So one of the things that's nice about our business is you begin registering, let's say, a month before the session starts. So you already have, and you collect the full tuition right up front. So that's your operating capital that'll carry you through at least the first month of operations,
How do you,
because then you
sorry to
begin
interrupt.
register. Good.
Yeah, how do you determine the cost of the programs? Are they paying monthly? Are they paying annually or for a season?
Yeah, so we have six, we call them sessions during the year. They're usually 7 or 8 week in duration. So the customer would pay for the 7 or 8 week session right up front. And then in about the middle of the session, we begin registering for the next session. So you have that cash flow coming in once again. You continue registering during that session. So just because your session started, if there's somebody that wants to join, get a private in 2 weeks into the session, you could bring them in. What we try to do is instead of prorating them, we just find them makeups for any classes that they missed. And so that way you're getting the full tuition from the customer.
What does it typically look like? Is like on like an average, pool location? Is it like 80% is going to be for the sessions of of revenue and 20% personal lessons, or is there kind of a
Oh,
rule of thumb
group
that
versus
yeah,
yeah, you know what? It's predominantly group, but you will get people that want one-on-one time, especially like special needs. You pretty much have to do a one-on-one class. There are, categories, like borderlines on the spectrum that can function fine in a group lesson. You just have to let the instructor know to make sure they're communicating efficiently and effectively with the student. But for the most part, um, the special needs are all privates, and then there's a lot of people that just there's a lot of adults that want privates because they're almost embarrassed. Especially if they're beginners, they might be a little embarrassed. There's no need to be embarrassed. There's a lot of adults that don't know how to swim, but sometimes they don't want to be start off in a group setting. There's some more advanced students that'll come to you that want they want to prep for a swim team, and so they want more one-on-one time. But I'd say I'd say, at least 80% is group lessons. Um, Another dynamic that we see at the fitness facilities is that we start off with a much higher percent of adults in the program, just because they're at the fitness facility, they want to be able to swim for fitness, and or the lessons are more in their face, it's convenient, and so now's the time to learn how to swim in the first place. So we see, a higher percentage of adults that we normally do in a more mature program where now we've gotten the word out and the kids are coming and so forth. Um, but we start with the babies. We start at like 6 months old. We go all the way through adults, and we do all levels.
Got it. Got it. Oh, that's very interesting. I would like to introduce you to Own a Business Today, a new digital and print magazine. We take pride in being the only magazine that assists small business owners to bring relevant information on business ownership and financing. We're going to cover topics such as business acquisition and expansion, franchising, business finance, technology for entrepreneurs, economic outlook and forecasting, and much more. To subscribe for free, please visit ownabusinesstoday.com. What now, as far as once a franchisee signs up, do they fly to you, or do you do online training for them? And then what kind of reoccurring support would you offer to the candidate once they're a franchisee?
So we do a lot of the training remotely. And then what we like is at least, 3 weeks before for them to come up where we can do it more hands-on, where they can listen in on the phone calls, where they can, and so that it can be like very well coached, so they become more comfortable speaking with customers and placing students and so forth, and also learning the registration system in a more hands-on way. Just like anything else, the more you do something, the more you'll learn it. And when right up front you haven't done it that many times, if you work with us, we're constantly doing registrations between all of our locations. It'll give them an opportunity to do it in a hands-on way, and they'll just learn so much faster that way. And so, as part of the training, you're going to send an instructor up for training, and it's worthwhile for you to come up as well for training, at least 2 or 3 days.
Okay, and great. And so, how do you derive territories? Is it by population count? Is it 40, 50, 60,000 population? How do you carve it up? And then is the expectation that one territory is going to have one pool location, not two?
So those are good questions. So what we do is we want to make sure you've got a healthy territory full of kids. We look at 40,000. We're looking in the range of 40,000 children ages 14 and under. That could support competition, and that's a generally a 3 to 5 mile radius. Now, obviously, there's more rural areas where people are first of all, you don't have that density. You have to go a little further out to get that density, but those people are also more in tune with traveling. So in the more dense areas, if you don't have a Walmart on your corner, you don't go to Walmart. It's kind of similar. You need a swim school within 3 to 5 miles, or they probably won't travel to you. Um, so that's the and then as far as in that territory goes, you can set up more than one pool. Now, it's not easy to find a lot of pools. So what we tend to see is where you'll have a primary year-round location, and maybe in the summer you pick up a tennis club, an outdoor tennis club, or an outdoor community center, or even some of the developments with larger developments that have a pool. Maybe you do lessons there twice a week and lessons at another one twice a week, and you kind of piece together a nice little summer program. They tend to be a little bit more profitable from when you look at profit margin overall because you don't have the big rental costs that you would have at a fitness facility. But in any event, it's only seasonal. So
What are any, what have you seen as you're talking to people in this business? What are their main concerns if they're not in the pool business or the swim business and they're looking at your brand? What kind of keeps them like, I don't know if this is right for me versus like, what are their kind of holdups if you talking to people when, when they're going, well, I don't swim really. I don't have kids right now. I like the business model makes sense, but like, where do you see people getting stuck, with this type of business versus, if they're looking at other franchises and then they come up, their franchise consultant maybe introduces them to Hudson Valley Swim and you're having some conversations with them.
the I think we can get people over their initial fear of not knowing the industry. That's really not knowing the industry is typically the big initial hesitation. So yeah, I don't know how to swim. I'm not a very good swimmer. I've never taught swim lessons. That's all fine. We don't need you to be that, right? We need you to effectively communicate with customers, offer good customer service, and really believe in our mission. Believe in what you're doing. Take pride in what you're doing. It's one of those businesses where you can, proudly wear your logo. You're and this isn't a knock to any other business type, but if you're running a laundromat, how exciting is that? If you're picking up after your dog, after somebody's dog, how exciting is that? Those are good businesses. Don't get me wrong. This is one where you can really be proud of. You're saving lives in your community. Tell that story, tell that to people. Um, and you're going to learn the language over, a short period of time. You do not have to teach swimming. You just have to provide good customer service. That's all. And if you understand the difference between good and bad customer service, you'll operate this effectively. You might have to bite your tongue a little bit.
And I'm assuming the franchisees keep the name Hudson Valley Swim, right? They don't rebrand their name or anything, and they keep
Correct.
Hudson Valley. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
so you
use,
would be yeah. So you'll get your LLC or whatever your entity type is, and then you'll get a DBA of Hudson Valley Swim Dallas, Hudson Valley Swim Gaithersburg, whatever it is. So it's just a DBA. So you'll operate as a Hudson Valley Swim company.
so you have a few you have obviously a couple of corporate locations and a few franchisees since you just launched not too long ago the franchise business model. What markets are you excited about? Where do you think the opportunities are the opportunities everywhere? I mean, where is there a focus of markets you want to open?
Yeah. So um, we've pre-negotiated a lot of gyms. Okay. And so those are low-hanging fruit when it comes to finding a location. We already have it. So places like Florida, throughout Florida, Arizona, Texas, those are big areas for us. But that's not Ohio is another big area, Georgia. So we have there's a lot of focus areas for us. We do post that, by the way, Bo, on the FBA site, which ones are our targets. But it doesn't mean that is it. And so if there is no pool that we've negotiated in advance, we'll look around. We'll work with you to identify some options. We'll call these places, visit these places, provide the value prop to them. We find a lot of places. We just worked with in Danbury, Connecticut, for instance. We're going to be working at the Danbury Community Center. That's a corporate location we just signed. So we actually have a pile of corporate locations. We've just added two more that will be starting in March. One's at a school, and one is at a community center. along with a number of fitness facilities. So all of our franchise owners right now are operating at a fitness facility, and one of the ones that we've pre-negotiated. One of our good, we have a couple good stories. Our very, very first franchise that started in what was it, November of 22. That was our first franchise. They started in November. They've since purchased two new territories. So they started operating a second territory middle of last year, and they just signed at the end of this of 2023 for their third territory. So that says a lot about their satisfaction with the brand, with the business and their brand. We just signed one in Maryland, end of the year. Our two new ones are going to be opening up in March, along with the two corporate ones opening up in March. We have a number of locations in Florida, three, four, five locations in Florida. We're looking for Orlando is a big market that we want to break into. But the whole eastern seaboard in Florida, we have territory and availability. So, I mean, there's another thing that differentiates us from some of the bigger brands is that we have more territory in prime space, in prime areas than they do. They've already sold it.
And, you know, as far as competition, what's the real difference, would you say? Not to badmouth competition, obviously, but what's the real difference where you think the model you have is, superior? Is it the fact, I mean, there's numerous. One is you're not building pools, right? Because that's going to be $1 million. Very low startup costs, which
2 or
is,
3 million.
I'm just thinking, yeah, I mean, for somebody who's listening, like when we were talking in Florida, when I was at the conference, I was like, yeah, because I always ask people if I'm going to like buy the franchise, like, what are the pros, what are the cons? I mean, this model is like, it's simple. It's got recurring revenue. You're helping society. You're helping your community. You don't need technical skills. You don't need much overhead. It's really just a matter of just going out and doing it. Really, it's like a business in a box, like you're saying. So I like that, and I like the fact that you can get in. You can probably get an SBA loan. You can get in with very low capital, or you could just have a line of credit on your house. I mean, it's not like you need to stroke a check for a couple $100,000. And then the other beautiful thing is that there's a lot of open territories. So you can start with one, and then let's say I'm in Las Vegas. There's 1.5 million people here. I could have 5 locations throughout Las Vegas. And then there's Henderson. Like you could really branch out right now because you're just an emerging brand. And so there's that whole scale opportunity. Plus, you're not a huge company where I can't pick up the phone and get a hold of you and talk to somebody who's going to, it's not some big conglomerate that it's owned, right? You're getting the advice from somebody who's doing it and expanding the corporate locations. So I like that component too. I think that's a lot to be said for somebody, because I think a lot of people that are transitioning from W-2, they're a little bit worried that, hey, what if I fail? What if, what's the support going to look like? And, obviously you're sharing a lot of valuable information on this. So thank you. And I'm sure people will be very interested in this business model. I never thought about a swim business until I met you. And then I'm like, wow, it makes a lot of sense. There's, X amount of kids and there's X amount of adults there's a lot of adults that don't even know how to swim. So plus it's great exercise.
Yeah, there's a lot in those statements that you said. I'd say probably less than half the population is proficient in the water to survive. It varies by demographics. So there are, like in the African American communities, it's probably like 65% have no skills. And it's this business. Well, first of all, new students are born every minute. All right. I mean, let's face it, because we start at 6 months old, babies just keep happening. They keep coming along. And and we try to start them young, get them comfortable in the water and able to survive very, very young. Um, but there's always going to be a demand for swim lessons. Even what I've found in during the downturn in the economy, we've had a bunch of those over my 20 years. I haven't really seen much of an impact. It's a mandatory skill. It's a life skill. You need to learn how to swim. It's not an optional thing anymore. Swimming is one of those cheap sports where, in the summer, you go to the lake, doesn't cost you anything, cost you maybe a few bucks to get in. Community pools, usually fairly, if you're a member of the community, it's not much of anything. Backyard pools. We learned during the day, we had a big upsurge after the pandemic. Um, Swimming was like one of the only activities people could do while you were staying home tucked away. And what they learned was not only did the kids not know how to swim, but the parents weren't in any position to be watching their kids in the water. So we saw a big growth in our adult program as a result of that. But as well, we saw a big growth overall with students. So people started learning, yeah, it's a great activity, but we're just not qualified to do it. It's not the same as bringing a kid to gymnastics or to dance or to baseball. Those are fun. I love them. My kids all came up through that. I came up through that myself. This is more of, on the par of learning to read, learning to write, right? And it's a mandatory thing. It tends to be. It's never going to be replaced by Amazon, all right? Yeah, you can watch videos, but nothing's going to beat having the swim lesson, yeah, itself. So it's kind of, I'd say, economy resistant. It's Amazon proof. It's a high demand activity, and it's mandatory. So the demand is always there. And so when we build out a territory of 40,000 kids, all right, even if you have competition, and they're addressing maybe a couple thousand out of that 40,000, there's this giant addressable market still, and over a course of time, your name gets out, you're offering a much higher quality program, and you're gonna build your program up within a few years to be a very very profitable program. And so it is a great business, and it's one, once again, you can be proud of. You just have to breathe the smoke. You need to really believe in the mission of what you're doing, and it makes it easy to help build and put the time in to build your business.
Very good. Well, I think we covered a lot, and we almost went for 50 minutes here. And I think we gave everybody a great overview. Guys, if you want more information, I'll put some information down below the video. Jeff, any kind of closing remarks here?
No, well, first of all, Bo, thanks for having me. And it was a pleasure meeting you at the FBA. It's a great association to be a part of. For folks that are looking for a business, um, whether you have a lot of capital or not, this kind of fits the mold. Um, it is one you're not going to be constantly feeding it out of your pocket, because a lot of your costs are going to be variable, and so as your business is small, your costs in that regard will be small. So there are fixed costs as well. But it is something where, because of just the nature of what we do, it is something that you can hit a break even pretty quickly, but more importantly, become profitable pretty quickly. Um, and just talk to us. We'll run you through the a full overview of the program. We'll show you our financials in our item 19 at a corporate level. We'll even put you in touch with some of our owners who um, will talk about their own profit or loss, since they've been operating. we have a location that just started in May of last year that for the year, so including um, their initial session, which was around break even for the year, they for the rest of the year, which was what, 7 or 8 months, um, they were running at like a 25% profit margin. So I mean, and that's pretty common that we're seeing that in all of our locations. So it is a business that you can build, and give us a call. We'll or actually call Bo or call us, and we'll walk you through it. And we're it's a family owned business, and everybody here kind of operates really at a on an up and up level with everybody. If we can find you a location, we'll be honest. If we can't, we'll be honest with you.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. This was great. I love diving into business models, and I love this business model. I knew from the start that, hey, this is something that people should take a look at, even if you don't swim that much. It's really a business model that you could be proud of. And Jeff, we will see you soon, hopefully at the next conference or maybe before.
Hopefully. Thanks again.
Visit us at ownabusinesstoday.com.